All right, of course, rise up above all the it is 26 minutes before we touch down on 1 o'clock. We're intentionally late because on a Monday today, we want to ask the question. Captain Aya, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
We are fabulous on a Monday.
Always. Happy Monday. I'm doing very well as well. Thank you.
So, what is that one event that Yazin, we can't be late for? We're intentionally late today because I wanted to ask you about being late.
Oh, wow. Wow.
What is the one event that it's not allowed? Why are you late? What is the worst event to be late for?
Worst event to be late for is an interview. You can't be late for an interview.
I thought you'd say a wedding. Imagine the groom late.
Oh, no. I think we have made it the norm that people are late at weddings. Like, Nazi, I'm one of those people. But 10. Hi, ngizasuka endlini ngabo 10 past 10 because we expect things to happen. Like, I have never been to a single wedding where they started on time.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
All right, that's Miss Aya Hlubi, your captain this afternoon, saying the worst place to be late, the worst event to be late for is your interview, because automatically that puts you in a category of someone that cannot be trusted. But otherwise, Miss Aya, where are we today? What conversation of empowerment are you ushering us and helping us to become the better version of ourselves through today?
This is like my favorite time of the week. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. Yes. So last week we spoke about, how seeing people is the loudest way that we can love them. Mm-hmm. Right. Did you do anything interesting the past week, Uncle Muzi, that made someone else's day where you did not expect anything in return?
Sure.
I tried out giving a little gifts to my clients. So yeah, I think they were happy because obviously when you deliver something beautiful for them and then add a nice gift, they have benefited a lot. Good price plus a gift.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yes,
Because
yeah.
for me, that was very important that we see people, not as trees, but as people. It's people who should be seen, are actually worth our attention. So I was more intentional the past week about greeting the waitress and just small talk, Nyana, and the way it was just easing them up when they were serving you. They were serving with a smile because it wasn't amanzi phela, It was so beautiful. I loved that. I absolutely enjoyed how it made the other person feel.
You just reminded me yesterday. That came to my mind yesterday. There's a lady who was holding up the board that says "Welcome to church." I actually walked up to her, gave her a hug, and said, "Thank you for welcoming us because of your conversation with us last week, and to be seen." So I wanted her to feel that we see you and we acknowledge you. Most of the time we walk into church and we see them and we just wave and pass by. But I intentionally walked over to her, gave her a hug. It just reminded me, woohoo, yeah, did something good for somebody.
Listen, like you guys don't call me the captain for nothing.
Nothing.
I'm
Yeah.
out here doing the Lord's work.
Hallelujah.
One hug at a time. I am
Yes.
doing the Lord's work.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this today, I want to talk about something, but let me just build a case on how this particular topic came into being, right? Mm-hmm. So some time back, we spoke about Kenneth Nkosana Magate, right?
Yes.
The gentleman that proposed the buzz idea to Vodacom. That you can send a free message to another Vodacom user and that person, you're requesting for them to call you back. And it was so interesting to me how it took years and years and years, but he never backed down.
Yeah.
Eventually there was a verdict and he's now receiving a compensation of over 29 billion. Like, That sounds good to me. You know, somebody said, "Namhlanje ngathi ngathola imali zami. Angazi zibuyaphi, but yileyo muthi ngathi bungangena imali zami." You know, so for him, you know, just being so persistent over the years and not backing down, sacrificing, but saying, I will be paid what I'm worth. Okay, so that's one person. But the other person, I've been following Lerato Molabo, that we all know her as Lira. Yeah. I've been following her for the past couple of weeks, and she was live at a radio station, and how she was relaying her story because she had a stroke back in April of 2022 while she was traveling. She was in Germany. So she could not speak, read, or write for the longest time. But now she's recovering. And there's something that she said that just stayed with me, where she said, my stroke was actually a blessing. You know, for me now, if someone says something like that, I'm like, whatever drugs they're on, in number your supplier, because wow. Right. So then I started just thinking, you know, these two people, Kenneth, Nkosana and Lyra, have these two amazing individuals who've gone through the most. What they have in common is being relentless. It is being persistent and unwavering. Because at some point, they could have just given up and said, you know what? No, my Vodacom. But he was like, nope, that's too little. That's too little. This is how much you guys made. Therefore, this is how much I want to make. And Lyra is like, I'm going to learn how to read, how to write, and how to speak. And I'm going to sing again. It might take a little bit of time. There might be challenges, but I am unwavering. So I want us to talk about being relentless, you know, because when we go through Izinto, we have a decision that we need to make. You know, regardless of what it is that you're going through currently, you have a decision to make. Are you going to be bitter? Are you going to be unforgiving? Will you be upset and angry and just be like, these things happen, and then just go into a corner and shut yourself down from the world? Or are you going to choose to be relentless? That's a decision that we're all presented with constantly in our lives. Are we going to be resilient and cope under whatever we're going through, or are we going to be bitter? Sure. You know, it's very, very easy for us to be like the disciples. You know, I love the Bible talking about when they were in a storm, that Jesus told them, let us go over to the other side. But when there's a storm, the first thing they say to him, Mabamvusa, is, don't you care that you're dying? Hey, say you know, that emotional manipulation to the Lord. Would say,
we say that so
but for me, yes, we like to do that. Good to know. Oh, my favorites. But the Bible just always leaves me so dumbfounded when I read that scripture, because it says that Jesus was lying down on a pillow in the midst of the storm. He's lying down on a pillow. You know, if the Bible said he dozed off, you know, that's something else, because there was no intent. But for the fact that there's a pillow, babes, walala, as the storm is coming.
In the middle of the storm, yeah?
In the middle of the storm, he chose to be calm. He chose to take a nap. So we have an opportunity to decide, how are we going to act when we go through things? Are we going to start blaming? Are we going to play the victim? Are we going to say, Lord, don't you care? Isikhathi siyahamba angakashadi. Awunandaba yini? Uthi isikhathi siyahamba angakapromote. I'm still at this position for the past 10 years. God, don't you care? My peers are doing better than me. Don't you even care that I'm now going through a divorce? Father, don't you care? It's very easy for us to do that, but it's so important for us to cope in the storm. So the reality of life is this, is that trauma, failing, getting hurt, not being supported by the people that you expect support from, it being lied to even, it's going to come. We will get hurt, disappointed one way or the other.
Yeah.
If there's one thing about unpleasant situations, about adversity, is that it does not discriminate. You too pretty to go through things. You too spiritual to go through things. It will come. It does not discriminate. It doesn't say, but you're a woman, you're a man. It does not discriminate. Adversity happens to all of us. If we can be assured of one thing, that is, adversity will come. It is part of our human existence. It's going to happen, whether we like it or not, whether we say we are prayer warriors. It's going to come, because it will not discriminate.
Yeah.
But this is where resilient needs to come in. So when you are resilient, I love the dictionary puts it this way, that resilience is the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties. So you're withstanding quickly from difficulties. It doesn't say, Guti, difficulties will not be there, but it says you have in you the capacity to withstand while you are in the difficulty, but you have to be able to recover from it. Do not make the difficulty your identity. Do not make the difficulty your destination. You need to be able to recover from it. So it's the ability of a substance or an object to spring back into shape.
Ability to
So, right? Like, yes, you are being stretched, but you need to be able to get back into shape. Whether it is mentally or emotionally or behaviorally, you have to be flexible and adjust to any external demands. I love to just watch how people navigate through life, because when you are at work, you are putting on a certain hat. When you are at home, you're putting on a certain hat. When you are at church and you're serving, you're putting on a different hat. And when you go through things, whether it is sickness, whether it is relationship issues, you need to be able to be yourself, to be able to pull yourself back together in the midst of being stretched. You can't say, like, never has I've heard this. Good today, someone in a boxing match. Now, bamterapa kayo wan. Bese utim, ang sadal.
I quit.
Right? Like, you understand that you are going to get a couple of beatings, and that's part of it. You need to know that it is part of the journey. And whenever you are getting hit, it's not personal, it's life. You need to be able to withstand very quickly. You need to recover very quickly from the difficulty. You can't say, next 5 days, guys, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I thought this was going to be a fun boxing match. I'm not ready. Let's postpone a season next week. It's not. It's on. It's the first round. You need to move to the second round and third round. You need to be able to be resilient. You need to be reluctant in your ability to win. So there is a quote that I absolutely love from Mary Holloway. She says the following, that resilience is knowing that you are the only one that has the power and the responsibility to pick yourself up.
Wow. You have the power and the responsibility to pick yourself up. I love that.
You are the only person. Because what is this thing that the millennials like to say? No one is coming to save you. Come on, somebody.
Hey, they love that one.
Yeah, like nobody is coming to save you. Because you have the power and the responsibility to pick yourself up. You and you alone. So we have to be reluctant. We have not to be reluctant, relentless. And we need to have resilience.
Sure, that's one powerful one there. That's one powerful one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a certain lady that I like, right? But she absolutely bugs me because of one thing and one thing alone. So she has a ministry, and people follow her, people absolutely adore her. So magaqala ne, I was for her 100%, because it's important for us to win. It's important for us to go through izinto, and then, people benefit from the journey. People benefit from your story and how you were resilient. But man, it's been 7 years later, and she's still talking about the same thing. I'm like, hey, babes, kanjani? At some point, it's very important, especially for us Christians. We like to build a house where we have gone through pain.
Ouch.
And a house is permanent, right? Foundation, guys, yo. But I really believe that we need to be building a tent when we go through pain. You build a tent to allow
Temporary
yourself
structure.
to go through it, but don't say, this is where I'm going to end up. This is how my story ends. You have to be ever so intentional that you heal and then you move.
Absolutely.
Don't build the house because your pain cannot be your identity. So njalo wena, you were impregnated when you're a teenager. Imagine that's 55, babes. Ay, imagangane. Don't build a house, build a tent, go through it. Ask yourself, and I always say this, we are too quick sometimes to say, God, get me out of this. It's too painful. But maybe the prayer should be, God, what am I supposed to grow while I'm going through this?
Yeah.
What part of me are you trying to make me maybe observe? Because the truth of the matter is we never really know who we are until we get into certain situations.
That's true. That's very
Right?
true.
If you talk to people who are in prison for murder, you ask them, I don't know what came over me at that particular situation, because that difficulty made me react in a way I didn't think I was capable of reacting in. So we have to just be cognizant. Don't make emotional decisions when we are in pain, but let's ask God, what are you trying to grow through me as I'm going through this? Don't take me out of it until I learn
Something.
and until I grow from this experience. As painful as it is, what am I supposed to take away from it? How is it growing me as Messiah, as the whole woman, as the brand, as a daughter, as a mother? What is this situation trying to show me? Maybe it's a blind spot that I was not aware of. And this situation is saying, Gashe, you have issues with anger. You need to deal with your anger. And it is painful, but you need the tools to deal with it, because where God is taking us, the journey to greatness demands us to be emotionally intelligent.
That's very true.
It's very necessary. We cannot make emotional decisions when we are in a temporal situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that one, I think God is speaking to me on that one. Wow. Wow. Do not make permanent decisions when you are in a temporal situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we do that so
Resilience.
often. Yeah, we do that so often. We get into a space where you feel like, kuphelile ngam, kuphelela la, and then we don't search deeper for the resilience within to become where we should be. So, like you're saying, I need to build a tent instead of a permanent structure in a place of trial. Don't make it your final destination where else you could actually become better. How do we wrap it up in a bow this afternoon for our listeners as we speak all things resilience? Captain Aya?
Okay, so I heard this one thing, and probably this is what most of us need to learn to just change our perspective, because sometimes it's not what you're looking at, but it's how you're looking at it that matters. There's a saying, Etsy, everything that is happening for you, and it's not happening to you.
Yeah, it's happening for you.
For you. It's happening for you. It is revealing something about you, about your journey, or about your calling. It's revealing something to you. Lyra said during the interview that, when she had the stroke, it meant that she wasn't going to work for a while because she relies on her ability to speak in order to be able to sing well, because she also needs to understand what she's saying. Having a melody is one thing, but saying the words, that's important. And she said she had not rested in a long time. So she took this as God is saying, it's time for you to rest.
Sure.
Right? And if you look in another person's perspective, you'd be like, oh my gosh, there's no money coming in. What am I going to do? I'm going to go through my savings. Oh my God, Father, don't you care? But her perspective blew me away.
Yeah.
That everything that's happening, it's happening for you to rest. And sometimes that's uncomfortable because now there won't be money coming in, but God is trying to save your soul. Like you need the rest. You need to go back and be at the center of who you are and rely on His strength and not your own, because this is happening for you and not to you. So when we go through things, let those challenges, let it be a fuel to your motivation. Let it really ask you difficult questions, because a lot of times when we go through Izindone, we like to go, why me? God, why me?
As if you're the only one. Yeah,
Exactly.
All right. And I think, this is one of the things when we get to heaven, God is going to go, yo, Madam Danang. The first thing we need to deal with is this book.
Yeah.
And this book contains the number of times you said, why me, in the past
Jesus.
year. And it's a whole book. It's a whole book. Because the victim mentality just kicks in.
Naturally, we have to deal with that element. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to deal with that. So let's change our perspective. And when things happen, let's take it as this is happening for me. It's not happening to me.
Yeah.
And there's something that I need to learn. I need to maybe refocus. I love when my sister likes to take a picture, right? The first thing she does is to clean the lens, because she says, "Kuba ne dust, iba blurry." So in order for the camera to focus, you need to remove the dust. So maybe the situation, the obstacle is just asking you to clean your glass so that you can have a better perspective.
Hey, Captain I. Hey. All right.
So let's clean our glasses. Let's have a better perspective, because it's happening for you and it's not happening to you.
Sure.
Wow. I'm blown out. I'm blown away. I'm absolutely blown away. Just when you think you know Miss Aya Hlubi, every week she steps into another space. She gets into the space that you never knew existed and just hits your heart. And today, I love the fact that a couple of those punches were going her own way as well.
It came home.
Thank you so much, Miss Aya. We really appreciate you coming through again to shape us to becoming the better version of ourselves. I love how you close that one by saying the lens needs to be cleaned so that it can get
a better perspective.
Better perspective, a clearer view of everything. How do we catch up with Miss Aya beyond the Hope Alive platform, beyond this particular space on the Midday Hangout, on the whole being?
Please, I am active on social media. That's Miss Aya Hlubi. Facebook, Instagram, not on Twitter because we agreed those streets are vicious. And then the whole Woman SA on Instagram as well.
Yeah. Whew. the whole Woman SA. We really appreciate your time. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but what an amazing, amazing episode on a Monday. You are really driving us to becoming the better and the best version of ourselves. And I just look forward to the end of the year where I look at myself in the mirror and say, this is the work of the whole being. Because in the moment, like I spoke about what happened to me yesterday on Sunday as I was walking to church, it only came to my mind that this was a conversation that we had right here on the whole being.
Sure.
So for me, I see the change. So it means that also the city, the country, and around the world where we're listening to in Germany, we're listening to in France, all the people that listen to this segment are being empowered to becoming the better versions of themselves. And we have you to thank for allowing God to use you as an instrument for that. Captain Aya, Sabonga kakhulu, Nkosazana.
Oh, wow. To God be the glory. Thank you, guys.
All right, that is Captain Aya Hlubi joining us every Monday on The Whole Being. And today she was driving a conversation on resilience. What an amazing, amazing one. If you missed out on that one, do catch it on our podcast. You can get our podcast by going to our website, which is www.hopealiveradio.co.za, and click on podcast. And there you will get the link that will take you straight to our podcast. Alternatively, do follow us on YouTube. We are on YouTube, available for you to follow on that particular platform. We are Hope Alive radio station on the particular platform. Let's pay some bills. When we come back, Debbie Debs is here for the latest news. Or Kia is back on the 10 music desk out and resigning. It's exactly 1 o'clock. Let's get the latest news right here from the Hope Alive desk. Asambi.